Anything. Hi guys, we're live.
Hi, Aubrey. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi guys, everybody here on LinkedIn Live. I'm Aubrey Phillips. I'm the franchise business coach here at a Place at Home franchise. And joining me this week are Trista and Adam Johnson, owners of a Place at Home, the Woodlands. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No
Oh,
problem. Thanks for having
yeah.
us.
Yeah, of course, of course. We wanted to talk to you a little bit today about, our care coaching and kind of the way that owners move through that. And with you guys specifically, we're talking about the We Are Care stage. So at this point, you guys have been open over a year. So you're not at this stage in the coaching. You've been open for over a year at this point. You're not necessarily leaning on a lot of corporate anymore. You kind of got your legs underneath you a little bit. And we want to talk a little bit about what that's looked like. So at this point, you're probably a little bit more confident in the decisions that you've been making day to day. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between like when you first open your doors and what some of those decisions were that maybe you leaned on the corporate team here and versus where you are now and where you find maybe a little bit more confidence, right? Things that you've noticed like, oh man, I did that. Like I normally would have had to do something different. You know what I mean?
Yes. For me, just because of my previous experience, and it wasn't managing a lot of people, the HR stuff has gotten a lot easier for me. So I don't feel like I need to call corporate and ask every time I make a move on a caregiver. If, there's an issue or decision involving an employee was really scary to me at the beginning. And I feel a lot more confident in the recruiting, hiring, retention, and unfortunately sometimes terminating a caregiver, which I had to do for the first time at one point. So we don't feel the need to involve the corporate office, at least
No.
on every step of the way, or that would be terrible for everybody involved. So for me, Adam had a lot more people management experience. So for me, that was big.
Okay. So Adam, do you have anything specific that you would like to add?
Yeah, so a lot of the bookkeeping things like that was completely not in my wheelhouse. I might know my way around an Excel spreadsheet, but outside of that, it was very little bookkeeping experience, and so I would find myself reaching out to my contacts at corporate headquarters frequently there, and then thank you, Danny, and then
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I hope Danny's watching. She's the contact person.
exactly right. And then outside of that too, right? Just some of the little things. It's a little bit easier now, just from a community partner perspective. We know who we need to get in front of. We know who we need to partner with in our community locally to help kind of strategically grow our business. And so we're not asking as many questions about that as maybe we used to.
Okay. I'm curious because Trista, you said that you didn't have a whole lot of experience before this really managing employees, but Adam, you did, right, in your previous role. So when you guys first opened your doors and you were managing, I imagine maybe just a different population of employees, did you see a big difference between who you were managing, hiring and stuff before versus who you are now? That were, anything that you felt was particularly maybe surprising to you or anything like that?
So yes and no, actually, just kind of based on my former career. I actually managed a team of RNs. So
Okay.
in some ways it was very similar, in some ways it was completely different, right? So it's always a little bit different when they're to your team, right? It's your employees. You're in charge of those hours, those W-2s. It's a little bit different when you're managing for another company, right? So I think that was maybe the biggest difference. Is really a new level of ownership when it's your company and your team.
Okay.
It's been a little bit different in that, I think Adam managed retail before too, and we're going from, maybe they were hourly, but it's the pay is different, the educational requirements are different, and unfortunately, we've learned that not everybody pursues jobs and careers in the way we have in the past. So we had to basically adjust our thinking and our thought process on what what impacts other people's thinking or how they plan their job search versus how we might do it. So we did not, or at least I didn't understand that people would say that they would show up for a job interview maybe or respond and then the next day not show up. So it's just a different, we had to kind of get used to that it's not exactly, I was in a very corporate environment before. I worked with other attorneys and different professionals. So it was just different. If you put a lot of work into searching for a job, you'd have to do a cover letter, a resume, multiple interviews, and go through this long process. And this is a different process, different skill set, just different people. And so I really had to adjust my understanding, I guess, and thinking about how to get a job and all that.
Yes, I think that I would maybe call that culture shock potentially a little bit. And I think that's pretty normal for owners that come into this industry and the hiring practices and everything. But since you have been doing this for a little bit and you are in the stage of your coaching where you're no longer, coming to Dustin maybe for like advice on retention, recruiting, or frustrated because you scheduled interviews and nobody's shown up, etc. What is something that you would tell a brand new owner that maybe goes into the group chat and is like, we scheduled 5 interviews and only 2 people showed up and they're frustrated? What is some advice? What's something that you've learned over your time that you would tell them?
Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. One, if they don't show up, or you schedule an interview and they don't show up, they weren't right for your organization anyways. So try not to get too upset over spilled milk and move on to the next candidate. But then too, like just consistency, persistency, right? You're continually reaching out. The speed with which you respond to resumes online is going to be very important.
Yes.
The even that little bit, that sense of community and family that you might be able to portray during that initial phone screening and certainly during the interview process is going to be really important. So really paying attention to some of the finer details, I think, will help you locate the quality caregivers that you probably have in mind.
Yeah, definitely. So moving from like recruiting, that's always one of the biggest frustrations, I think, when people first open their doors, is trying to find their footing there. But another one is getting out into their market and meeting with referral sources and finding clients for those caregivers. And that is something that you guys kind of did right out the gate. I don't know that that was really necessarily a struggle for you guys in the beginning. It might have been. I'm not involved with your coaching, but definitely by now you guys have some pretty solid like relationships in the community. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Like what sorts of relationships those are and what partnerships you seek out, what makes them successful and somebody you guys want to work with?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning, we just did anything and everything we could to get out there and get our name out there. And we learned a lot of hard lessons. We'd attend every event, put everything into it and see we were really tracking and noticing no return on some things. So we've really focused more of our efforts on like these smaller events or smaller gatherings or real targeted things. Like we have built really good relationships with hospice, home health, assisted living and memory care communities, and even some placement advisors. Even though that's part of our business, we do have, we have some really good relationships with people who do placements. And it really, I think, has come down to everybody. We've kind of attached ourselves to like-minded people, and we all want to see each other succeed. They've seen how well our caregivers take care of the clients, so they feel comfortable referring to us. And vice versa. It's nothing formal. It's all very informal. We don't get anything in return for sending a client to a certain home health company other than we know they're taken care of, and if there's an issue, we know who to contact. But it's very, like I said, it's informal, and it's we all really support each other and want to help each other succeed. So, but it took a while, just slinging a lot of mud, I guess, is seeing what sticks here locally in our
Yes.
community.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's casting a wide net a lot of times, I think.
We definitely did, because we hadn't lived in Texas forever, and we also hadn't worked in a specific industry. So I think it's going to be different for everybody depending on what they did before they opened an agency.
Well, and I think too, you just said you just said it. You said, when you guys are partnering or you're sending a referral over to like a home health or a hospice, you're not doing it because you're getting anything from it, right? Like we talk a lot about referrals in this industry because they're really important, but this industry is different than other ones insofar as there's vulnerable human beings at the end of it. So I think it's phenomenal that you recognize that and that's how you work within your community, right? Like you're like, we don't get anything other than I know that person's being taken care of. And that's exactly the mindset. That's exactly the mindset that clients and families need. And personally, that I think success comes from. So, Adam, do you have anything to add to that at all? I mean, just insofar as referral sources or marketing and stuff that you've found, or even maybe Trista talked a little bit about like it's you guys had a wide net and now you've kind of closed the gap a little bit. Is there anything like that you've noticed? Like, okay, well, when we first opened our doors, this was our focus, but we've since learned, otherwise, additionally to what Trista said.
Yeah. Initially, it was super uncomfortable because you were, like Trista said, we were kind of going to everything, and we were at every event, and we still remain members of multiple chambers of commerce. And when we were kind of able to hone that group in, all of a sudden those conversations got a little bit more comfortable because you were familiar with the service they provided, the value they provided for your clients, and hopefully they're able to pick up on the value that we can provide for their clients, right, in a similar fashion. So. But yeah, I think Trista kind of hit the nail on the head. We as business owners want to be able to get good feedback from our clients on the service that's being provided, whether it's hospice, home health, assisted living, placement advisors. And our goal is obviously to make sure that when they have feedback from clients, that they're getting similar feedback on us. We want to make sure that we're kind of sharing that value proposition.
Perfect. You guys, we mention you guys a lot in social media. When we're talking about social media marketing, your digital presence has been phenomenal since the jump also. You guys grew really, really quickly, and you guys have always been fantastic brand ambassadors. You've just been with A Place at Home for just couple years, but you guys are like the best A Place at Home cheerleaders. It's actually really, really lovely. But I'm curious, now that you've been doing this, what sorts of situations do you find yourselves more comfortable like advising others on? Because we talk a lot in these LinkedIn lives and really a lot of the stuff that we push out there that we have a really close-knit franchisee community, right? Like within the owners. And you guys know because you're a huge part of it, that G chat, that group with all the owners, you guys can bounce ideas off of each other. Is there anything at this point, a couple years in, that you're not comfortable advising on, or you guys pretty much, are you experts? That's what I assume. That's what I tell people. I'm like, ask Adam and Trista. They're the experts.
Oh gosh. No, absolutely.
Rome, where are you?
I feel more comfortable advising. I think the most difficult part as an owner, as a person with a heart, I like to think sometimes, and I try to have a high ethical standard, is dealing with people, whether it's a difficult client, or a caregiver situation. So I think that's the hardest part as a newer owner, is just dealing with people. And I feel a little bit better about helping and advising other owners, like how we've managed tough situations and try to turn into something positive, or not, but just navigating our way through it. I try to turn things positive, but just navigating those difficult situations and having comfort that it'll be okay. Just, do what you need to do the right thing, and it'll work out, because that's how it has been for us. I just feel a lot more confident just dealing with those challenging people situations. So I advise on that. And I have a legal background, so I'll try to give some general, with the proviso, this is not legal advice. I'm, not your attorney, but so this will generally be viewed maybe, but you're in a different state with like a lot of provisos, but I'm comfortable with someone in the legal space. And then just, I don't know, other day-to-day stuff like pricing questions. How do you price this? Or how would you deal with it? What do you think? What else?
No, I think that's it. I don't know that there's a way to become comfortable with it more quickly. I think it's just experience, right? The more of those tough situations you find yourself in, and the more opportunity you get to kind of work your way through them, I think the more maybe you have to offer with someone who has some questions about, okay, so I'm going through that situation now, and I can assure you, there was a point in time, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year and a half ago, when we were asking those same questions, like, what do we do here? This is new for us. Someone please help. And so, yeah, the more we come across those situations, that I don't say it's easier, but you just so you're more confident and just doing the right thing, regardless of maybe what that means to your bottom line or what have you, right? You want to make sure you do the right thing for your business.
Yeah, most definitely. Are you, Trista, can I ask you, so your background, is in law, and right now you're a business owner, but I think you've got future plans here coming up. Can I ask you about that?
Sure.
Glutton for punishment.
I am a glutton for punishment. I love learning.
That's
and yeah, I just was inspired that I should look into medical and maybe a nursing degree. So I took an anatomy class last semester. That was the only prereq I needed, plus a test to get into nursing school. So I'm starting that in August, and I'm really excited about it. Something I've thought about off and on over the years, but I think, not everybody's impressed by a law degree in this business when we meet clients or other people. Not everybody
Fair.
takes a lot of comfort in that as my background. And now going to home care, they don't, unless, we tell our story really well, then they understand kind of how we got into it. But I think it'll pair nicely with my background and what we're doing, and we might be able to increase some of our services to our clients or change our licensing a little bit. So that's my hope.
Yeah, I figured as much. As I was hoping you would let me ask you about it, because I love that you guys came into the system and you've had this passion from the beginning. And as I've said, you guys hit the ground running, and I don't know if it's like a full circle moment. I'm not sure if I would call it that, but like to see you like go from law to owning an in-home care and then doubling down on that and be like, you know what, I'm going to be a nurse too. Like, also like, like what else can I do to like best serve my community? I think that's phenomenal, actually. I think that's
I got to get through it. It's a 2-year program, so I'm planning on finishing. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But Adam's got it.
So I was going to say, Adam.
We're building up our staff here. We have staff, and I'll still be working in the business, but doing that at the same time. I like to be busy all the time. I don't really know how to relax, so I'm really excited about it. So ask me though in like 6 months how I'm doing.
Yeah, but that's like also it's with everything that's good and everything that's exciting, right? Like you guys opened your business 6 months after that. Were you still as excited, right? Like then you were in it, right? You could see some of those challenges, but got through it. So excited for you. I think that's awesome that you're doing that. And
thank you.
Adam, I'm really excited for you to
I'm an attorney by proxy, so I'm hoping I can be an RN by proxy. Something, I don't know if that works or not.
I hope that works out for you. I don't know that it will, but
we're a good team.
Yes, yeah, you guys are a good team. You guys are a great team. So what's one piece of advice you have for your first year self? What's something that you would tell them, or you wish that you had known, right?
I don't know that, at least me personally, did a great job at kind of managing my own expectations, right? How quickly we would grow, some of the struggles that you might face, and looking back, some of the lows felt low and some of the highs were really high. Just understand, like, if there's one way I could get across to myself, hey, it's going to be okay, right? You're going to get through this. There's going to be resources. There's going to be support. And before you know it, you're going to be, approaching year 2 in a new office space, and you've got new office staff, and I don't know, just everything is going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Like we like to say, whatever Dustin says, just do that, and it'll work. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's yeah, I have to say Dustin and I definitely don't see eye to eye on everything in the way that we do stuff, but you're not wrong there. If Dustin says to do it, and you will absolutely be successful. Yeah, most definitely. Trista, other than you should have gone to nursing school, is there anything you would have told your first year self? Or
not for everyone. I would say, yeah, I've made that joke, like just do whatever Dustin says, but you joined a franchise for a reason. So follow along, do what, the franchise says, because it does work, and you'll be successful, and lean on the other owners, and don't be afraid to get creative and try new things. But at the same time, like everybody says, that platform or that piece of technology or this doesn't work or isn't a great idea, you might want to listen. But and then just don't be afraid to say no. I have a hard time saying no to people, I guess. I'm kind of a sucker. I know I seem cold and all that, but I'm getting better at saying you got to stay strong and say no. If a client isn't a good fit for your agency, or a caregiver is not a good fit, you got to be willing to say no, because they're going to have a bigger headache longer down the road, and then it's even harder to. You're not just saying no, then you're saying like something else entirely. So just don't be afraid to follow your instincts, and don't be afraid to say no.
I think that's excellent advice. I think that's the thing that actually I know for a fact that's something that every owner struggles with, because when you first start, you are trying to build your reputation, and you want to serve so many people. And while it might not be the main motivating factor, you still also, it's a business, right? You still need to be bringing in an income. And so I think it's really difficult for new owners to say no, but you're absolutely right. There are times when it's appropriate to say no, we're not going to be able to do this. So yeah, it's a good point to bring up.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you guys have anything else to add, please do. Otherwise, I appreciate the time you took today.
You want the last word? I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Of course I want the last word.
I was like, what a good partner.
Well, it's an exciting industry, and it's been an interesting, wild ride, and we've learned a lot, and we continue to learn every day, and met some amazing people, and just it's good.
I thought I was getting the last
Good
word.
time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you just.
And it's amazing being in business with your spouse.
Adam, are you sure you don't want the last word?
Yeah, I think she just got the last word. I think that was it.
Okay, well, thank you guys both so much. I appreciate your time. If anybody out there is interested in learning more about a Playzone franchise, you can reach out to us at playzonefranchise.com. Mitch Benson would be more than happy to talk to you. And Tristan, Adam, looking forward to seeing what happens next with you guys.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.